The Lord has chosen them to enter into this life. Today, I was asked to give a talk about how preparing to enter the temple and serve a mission has helped me to have more confidence in the presence of God. And this topic is a perfect segue to this conference's theme, our confidence waxing strong in the presence of God. Let's start with preparing to enter the temple. I'd like to start with a quote by Prophet Russell Wilson. The quote reads, quote, "I promise you that the Lord will bring these miracles, the miracles he knows you need, as you make sacrifices to serve and worship his Jesus." But what the prophet says here is also evident in Scripture. D&C 109 verse 22 says, quote, "And we ask thee, Holy Father, that thy servants may go forth from this house, armed with thy power, and that thy name may be upon them, and thy glory be round about them, and thy angels have charge over them." End quote. When we enter the house of God, his name is literally upon us, and the angels are watching us, guiding our steps. Quote, "That no combination of wickedness shall have power to rise up and prevail over thy people." Now, I must admit, that a few months before this talk, I was not very fantastic at attending the temple. I had only gone as many times as I could count on my hands, and I didn't enter my mission yet. But as I began preparing to serve the mission I would serve the Lord all. And as I began to prepare to take the steps to receive the endowment, I began making an effort to go to the temple once a week. And although I wasn't perfect, the Spirit became so much stronger. I would notice that every time I would go, I would see little miracles. An experience I'd like to share took place on a bad day for me. That day was just not my day. I was very tired, I was struggling to feel the Spirit the way I normally do, and it was just a hard day. Frustrated, before I entered the font of baptism, I said a little prayer in my heart and asked God for help. And my miracle came when I was being baptized in another name. A man came and baptized me, and I didn't know this man at all, but his personality and kindness gave me so much peace, even down to a smile. He had a gentle voice and was extremely kind to me. I received a prompting that told me that this was my answer to him, and the Spirit overwhelmed me. When we finished, I gave this man a big hug. And brothers and sisters, I can promise you something. If God can take the time out of his day to help me feel peace on a hard day, meet the Spirit in the temple, beyond whatever problems you guys have, and whatever is traveling you, he is there, and he has a plan to let you go. I testify that you will get there as well, if you listen to the still small voice and serve him. This grand stranger is also a perfect example of mission. As an odd approach to preparing for my mission, I've begun thinking a lot about how missionaries throughout my life helped change me and prepared me to serve the mission. But not all of these missionaries were set apart. A good amount of them were my age. I want to start with the fact that age doesn't matter in missionary. A quote from Thomas S. Monson reads, "Our studies reveal that most of those who embrace the message of the missionaries have had other exposures to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Perhaps hearing the magnificent Tabernacle Choir perform, or just knowing another person who is a member for whom respect exists." And this next part is his invitation to all of us. Quote, "We as members should be at our best. Our lives should reflect the teachings of the gospel, and our hearts and voices ever be ready to share the truth." And he doesn't say he only needs the youth, or that he only needs the adult, but he says he needs all of us. For my next experience, you need some more context on it. I am a convert to this church, and I grew up knowing some things of the church, but not everything. And I knew some things thanks to my mother and my grandparents. I was about 8 years old when I first came to church, and I had a t-shirt and shorts on. And everyone else was dressed in a fancy suit or dress. For me, I immediately felt out of place. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt so bad. And just when those feelings really set in, came the first missionaries I ever met. But these missionaries didn't wear a tag. They were my same age, and they were my fellow classmates. Despite my different clothing, my classmates turned my day around. They came to me, they said hi. They made me laugh, they invited me to their class, and they invited me to join them. They made me so happy that they included me, I completely forgot about my outfit and my tie. I left church that day, so ready and so excited to be back. And it didn't stop there. They continued to invite me, they continued to guide me, they continued to help me, bringing me back to church every time. They gave me some reason to come back to church, and it was just amazing. Matthew 18, verse 21 says, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them." I felt God's presence through the kindness of my classmates. Where they were, just 2 or 3 of them inviting me and greeting me, I felt God's presence, and I felt some there. As I got older, though, my teachers and other church leaders really began to play an important role for me. And I know they do for every child, whether the youth see it or not. I'd like to read a quote by Gordon B. Hinckley that he talked about in the Past General Conference talk. Your obligation is as serious in your sphere of responsibility as is my obligation in my sphere. No calling in this church is small or of little consequence. And brothers and sisters, this is the prophet of the past saying that his calling is no more serious than the calling of a secretary for the deacons. And it's because God doesn't see us as numbers. This is not a business where we're seeing how many members we can get. No. We are not numbers to God. God, we are people, and we matter. He is in plan for each and every single one of us individually. When I began going to church, me and my family were little rocks. We actually were going very consistently. Oh yeah, we would go consistently about once or twice a month. However, as I got older, my teachers were old, having this way of listening and talking to me really became so important to me. I'll never forget one Sunday, after missing quite a few in a row, me, my dad, and my brother were out in the yard freaking the leaves. And at this time, my teachers brought all my classmates to my house, and they stopped to say hi and give us cookies and advice in the church. And while my father talked with my teachers, I played with the classmates in the game of tag. To me, this meant so much because it showed me my teachers cared about me. They cared enough to notice my presence wasn't there and that my spirit was gone. And it meant so much to me that I really wanted to come back because I knew I was loved and I knew church was an environment where I was appreciated. And they even left my family a bag of cookies, so I was really motivated for the next night. In the last few minutes of my talk, however, I would like to share a very personal story that connects missionary work and temple service. I had a chance to do this with helping my brother Ken. Not a lot of people here know that I have an older brother named Edwin. Edwin was an amazing kid. He was a hard worker and he loved his family. He lived with my grandparents in Mexico, but unfortunately before we had a chance to move here to America, he passed away in an accident. I didn't realize it at the time because it was such a big trial for my family. It was so hard. But God had a plan. And He had a plan for our family. I felt just like how it feels now that the prophet has passed away. I felt sad. I felt just a few. As the years went by after this trial, me and my family continued to grow in faith. We continued to attend church. We continued to try and learn more. Well, about 7 years later, in the beginning of my senior year, I received the strongest prompting of my life, that Edwin was ready to be baptized. I immediately became very excited, and me and my family began to work day and night to make this dream come true. After receiving the Melchizedek priesthood this last Sunday, me and my family attended the temple this last Tuesday. At first, when we entered, we were told we were going to have to wait about an hour, and after talking for about 30 minutes, me and my family decided we might leave and come back another day in an effort to make it to one of my close family friends' mission card meetings. However, on our way out, we talked to the temple organist and I told her why we were leaving early, and somehow our story came up. She had said, "Why didn't you say so?" And then we witnessed a miracle. They let us go in front of everyone else in the temple and baptize them. And it was such a special moment because walking into the baptism reform, we could feel Edwin's spirit. We could feel the Spirit talking to us. As the temple ordinance worker told the rest of the crowd why we were going up to the front and told them our special story, we baptized Edwin. And after baptizing him, I was able to use the Melchizedek priesthood to lay my hands on Kevin and give him a member of the church. And the spirit and the peace and the joy that rolled on our faces was unimaginable. My mom and Karen were tears. It was beautiful. For me, I just couldn't stop smiling. Brothers and sisters, I want to bear my testimony about the confidence in God's plan. When Edwin happened to us, we didn't know about God's plan, and we were so sad. But it's our confidence over the next few years that led us to baptism. I know it's a hard time that our prophet has passed away, but I promise that as we have confidence and as we wax strong in church, we will be okay. And God has a plan for us. In the name of Jesus Christ.